That's good. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for this quarterly discussion and everybody coming on board to learn a little bit about how Pro is the unveiling is happening and answer questions about how to make it more seamless. So yeah, thank you for that.
And Helman, is your team here? Do we need a few more moments, or is everybody here that you need to have on?
Not yet. Let me look in. I'm looking around the room here, and we don't have everyone.
Okay, no worries. We're still pretty early, and more people are signing in. So while we're waiting, I just want to take a minute I can do a few brief announcements. So some people may not know what Pro is and where we fit into this, because I know we just have team members and representatives from different companies and some guests on the call. So Pro is the professional remodeling organization, and we are a professional trade group. We offer education, certification, networking, awards and recognition, and advocacy. And that's what we're here for today. Like, our goal is to better serve our members and the remodeling community by helping advocate with our local municipalities, our state and federal agencies that are supporting the remodeling industry and making legislation. So we are here to better support our members, and we hope you feel that. And if there's anything that you need or we can do to help you, please do not hesitate to reach out. I will put my contact information and email and phone number in the chat. So if anybody needs me, please don't hesitate to reach out and all they do for us. And then we have David Merrick, who's on the call today. He is our Government Affairs Committee Chair. And then Ted is Vice Chair of that, Ted Daniels. So thank you both for being on here. All right, Helman, what do you say? Are we ready to get started or still need another moment?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Ted, I'm turning it back over to you, sir.
Great. Well, everybody, thank you for jumping on this call today. I hope it's and believe it will be informative, like every quarterly discussion is. I think just as some basic ground rules, I mean, we're here to ask great questions of some very well-meaning professionals and try and help get answers in a cordial way. We also want to try and keep very specific client permit questions, off to the side. You can do that, but more we want to generalize the discussion so they're not just for you. So with that, I'd say let's dig in and take it away. We're excited to have the team here at Fairfax County. And Helman, why don't you jump in?
Very good. Well, thank you for the opportunity to to join you. It's always great to exchange experiences. We aim to be the best partner we can be with you. Working on projects, and the more feedback that you provide to us, the better off we're suited to help you, help us tackle the issues. Recently, we have moved into this new platform. It's called Plus. The new plan and land use system, which is a major step forward for us in consolidating all systems into a new system. And it's much better. For some of you that are maybe submitting new applications, you can see how it is easier to navigate. It's only one login versus the 3 different logins that you had before. So it's definitely a step forward. Having said that, I'll tell you that we have experienced some difficulties. We went through the cutover period, back on October 21st. That was a week, and we've been transitioning since October 31st, new data into the system. And we had some technical issues on the migration process. We have a couple of issues. First issue we had was really a performance issue. The system was not, that very first week, it was not as fast as we wanted to be. It was slow. But the consultant and the technical folks were able to figure out the issue, so the system is running fine. But along with that, we had a conversion issue of data. Just to put it simply, we had information that did not land in the right place when it came over. And that caused frustration on our end and on our customers' end, because they couldn't find while they were able to see information in the system, they couldn't upload plans because it was not connecting. So we had to rescript some things to fix that. And we are still working through that. We have done quite a bit of it. And we have broken that up in different segments, and we have made quite a bit of progress on that. And we expect to, for that to fizzle out, in the coming weeks. But aside from that, I think it's going well. It's been, for our staff, it's been really difficult because we're doing two things. It's kind of an all hands on deck. We're trying to fix those issues that didn't migrate properly by doing some manual adjustments, and at the same time dealing with new applications and trying to keep things moving. So it's been quite a bit of work. Many folks worked through the entire holiday weekend. I mean, it's been really tough on staff, but we're plowing through it, and we'll be fine. We will be fine. So just please accept our apologies for any delays that this transition is causing to some of you, but rest assured that we're gonna make it, and it's gonna be fine. Maybe a way to start would be with some of the questions that Steve presented in his email. I've shared that Kirsten Moons is here with us. She's the director of PACA, the division that oversees CTSC, which is the permits branch. We also have Jay Riat. Jay Riat is our building official and director of the building division. I know there are some questions about inspections that I'm sure Jay can address. But maybe the first question was, and I can read the question out loud, but if you have it, Ted, maybe you want to read it.
Sure.
Do you get a copy of those questions?
I did.
I can read.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Steve, did you want to ask it?
Yeah, sure. You
Okay.
talk about the first question, Hellman. I said, is there a quicker way to speak with a permit tech on status issues regarding approvals? Hold times are often well over an hour, and sometimes the calls are getting dropped. The callback system works well. Mostly, I'm running about 75% on those type of calls personally. Anyway, on a different note, there used to be the LDS building permits at fairfaxcounty.gov email we would send questions to, and someone would get back usually within 24 hours. But I haven't gotten a single return on that.
100%.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question, Steve. And I will say that under normal circumstances, we give a one-day turnaround to our email box. Our email box is flooded with questions. And very honestly, at the moment, we do not have the capacity to address this inbox. Now, that will change. And we're not ignoring, I mean, we look at it, we see it, and we're trying to, gauge systemic issues we're having. And the very question you may be asking might be being solved at the very moment. You know what I'm saying? But we, at the moment, don't have the capacity to respond to all of the emails. We're doing the best we can, but it just way beyond our capacity because of this issue of the, the data conversion errors that took place. But we're aware of the problem, Steve, and hopefully in a few days we'll be able to catch up. Kirsten, is there anything you want to add from your end?
The first part of the question was, how about the phone call system? Because that's also has provided some challenges for us too. Getting simple answers back. Did a certification go through for a footer inspection? Things like that. And we just can't. We're having some issues. I know myself and a few other companies I've talked to are having issues with just getting someone on the phone.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Yes, I apologize. We are really inundated with phone calls right now. We did staff up in advance. I think we more than doubled our some temporary staff that we have that are helping with phones, anticipating there would be more calls. But I think because of the conversion issues, the volumes are much higher than we anticipated with the Plus launch. We're pulling staff from all around the agency, from other agencies as well. Catherine's on the call from zoning. She's loaning us staff to help with phones as well. So we're doing everything we can to try to stay on top of those calls. But there is unfortunately a wait. The callback feature, I think our phone system is relatively new. It was launched, I think, about a month or so before Plus launched. And we've been ironing out some of the kinks in that as we've gone along. And I think the callback feature is working better than it was initially. So hopefully you're finding better success with that. We're pretty happy that we have that at least. I think that's helpful. You can come into the building. So we do have folks operating on the first floor to answer questions. There does tend to be a wait in doing that as well, but that's an option. You can also schedule a virtual appointment, and we'll set up a call specifically for you with someone on staff to kind of go through your questions. At this point, they are running a couple of days out. So if you schedule one, it's unlikely we'd be able to schedule it like for the following business day, but within a couple of days, we've been able to typically schedule those. So that's just kind of the reality of what we're dealing with right now. And I do apologize for the delay in all those different areas, but we are doing everything that we can.
You know, the one thing I'll say, thank you, Kirsten. The one thing that I'll say on the phone system, and this, we're using a system called Anywhere 365, which is a Microsoft product. And this new system has more features. It has a ton of more metrics for us to track wait times and basically the usages on the phones to better serve you. It also, there is another piece of software that is going to come down the road. It's a CRM system that will allow us to track better how we engage with customers, and specifically note cases and comments. That way, so when somebody else picks up a call, we'll have the ability to see what was the issue. We don't have that launched because we need to go through this piece, but that's going to be the next piece. So as you can see, we're building pieces in our infrastructure, not only with Plus, but also in communications, trying to give you, a better service. But like Kirsten says, right now, because of all the challenges with the transition into the new system, especially the conversion, it's been it's just being a lot more than what we can handle right now. But we're catching up.
Thanks, Kirsten. Thanks, Helman. Helman, you said you thought maybe several more days guys might be catching up on some of that stuff. Is that what I heard you say?
Well, there are different aspects of what we're tackling, Steve. Emails is one bucket, and it gets to the point where you have 1,500 emails. If you have an email that is 10 days old, what's the relevance in that anymore? Should I focus on the most recent ones? Depending on what it is, right? Like I said, we look at them, we try to find systemic issues that we ought to be fixing. But believe me, it's the intent of all of us to get back to you as soon as we can. So that's one bucket. The other bucket is the issue of just the conversion. Plans that the information of the plans did not land correctly, and we have to go back and reset it so that we can continue doing our work, and on your end, you can continue uploading plans and moving forward.
Sorry, Helman.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'd also add that if you emailed us more than say a week ago and you haven't gotten a response, if you're checking on like the status of something, you might be better served to give us a call or schedule a virtual appointment or reach out to somebody that on staff. If you're not able to kind of tell where something's at in the process. But if you're requesting like to cancel a permit or extend a permit or a refund, or to log out an old permit, I would go ahead and just re-email us so that we see that at the top of the box. I think some of the really old emails, we're going to get to a point where we just can't respond to them. And we're going to ask anyone whose issue still is not resolved to reach out to us again. Because like Helman said, a lot of those issues are being resolved. It have been resolved over the last couple of weeks. So.
Well, and on this topic of emails, Beth had sent in a chat saying that she noticed that in Arlington, when they went through this transition, they were having issues, and in some cases still are. But she asked a good question. Is there a way to separate any of the technology issue related emails from permit related emails on your end, so you can almost separate them out? And
Yeah, that's a good point. We're really the LDS building permits email box should be used for permit related, processing questions, or like I said, refunds, cancellations, extensions, logouts. That's what that should be used for. If it is a technology issue, we have a separate contact for the Plus support team. And if we get those, we will forward those to that team to resolve. It kind of depends on what the technical issue is, but we have a couple of different teams that are working on specific issues that we know have come up. That's a good point.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Can we move to Steve's second question?
Yeah, these are sort of all subsets of the first one, which are based on communication and timely responses, but trade permits, minor permits, things that normally used to go through in 1 to maybe 3 business days. Last time I got a tech on the phone, I was told it was 5 to 7 business days. Is that a normal time? Is that where we're still at with things like that? Or is there a way maybe that can be addressed a little more quickly?
Hey, that's a good question. I'm gonna drop in the chat a link that's gonna take you to and by all means, please put this link on your web pages for the from Atlantic that give you a quick snapshot of kind of an operational status on things. And you'll see in the residential trades right now, they are on a schedule about 2 business days. And commercial trades are a little delay about 4 business days. Now, I'm gonna caveat this with a couple of things. That if you're coming in with a new application, obviously you're not dealing with any data conversion issues, and you're going to move through the process as intended. If we're dealing with a data conversion issue, there is an item that was filed, prior to October 21st that maybe did not land in the right place because not everything failed. Then there could be some delay. So there's a bit of a mixed bag. But in general, I'll say that maybe Jay or Kirsten, maybe you can correct me, but based on what I see and what we posted today, that it looks like it's around 2 business days for residential trades.
Yes, that's right. And again, apologize for what you experienced probably when Plus first launched. We were, for the reasons that Helman described, backed up with processing the trade permits. We've had staff literally working around the clock, holidays and weekends to try to catch up with that. And we're really happy that I think at the end of this weekend, we're close to being caught up to where we want to be, certainly with the residential trades. So those we hope to be able to keep up. Our goal was to be able to process those within 2 business days. So that's the intent at this point. And the commercial trades are not too much longer than that. So I think we're in a much better place than we were a couple of weeks ago.
Thanks, Kirsten. That's great. It's good that you guys are getting closer. Thank you. I'll move on to the third question I typed out this morning. Again, it's a little more specific, subset to everything. Third-party inspection requests are taking quite a long time to even get approved, just the request itself, let alone uploading the certification. Is that a subset of all this same issue, or is that a specific thing that you guys can address?
I can take this question. Jay Riat, Fairfax County Building Division Director and Building Official. Yeah, so as you know, when you're to use a third-party certification prior to doing an inspection, you got to get approval, right? So I don't think Plus has impacted that step at this time. Now, when you do submit a third-party inspection result, it does take a few extra steps in Plus, but we are working through those steps right now. Our staff are being trained on how to take these results and enter them in. Again, it's that portion of it, entering the results, that being slower is due indirectly to the launch of Plus. These staff that do enter these third-party inspection results are the same staff that are answering phone calls and answering emails in the building division. So we are seeing those numbers of those calls and emails decline. They're starting to get a little bit better in the building division, at least. And so and in the next couple of days, very, very soon, you should start seeing that these third-party inspection results also will be able to be entered back to what you're used to seeing prior to the launch of Plus. That being said, we are revamping our third-party inspection program. We're making it's going to be a little bit more efficient and better for the contractors to use. Where not only have it for the footings and foundations, but we are trying to expand it to trades as well. So that's coming very soon. As soon as we get out of this initial Plus launch, we should be making some improvements to our third-party inspection program for residential inspections.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you.
Great. There's a couple other questions in the chat. Are revisions, this is from Beth Davis, are revisions being accepted and put into review before the revision fee is paid? In the past, the revisions were not accepted before making payment, but she has a couple that have appeared to have been accepted while still waiting for the clients to pay their fees. She just wanted to make sure that those, that the reviews, sorry, I just skipped here. Once a new one came in, I lost my spot. Reviews are not being delayed while they're waiting to be in review.
Yeah, I think Steve Kendrick, are you on? Maybe logged on. But I can start to answer this. My understanding, and I would just want to confirm this with Steve, is that all the building applications, we're doing the kind of the pre-screen review first, and then you will be invoiced for the fee. And then once you pay the fee, if there's a review required, then it will be distributed. So it's a little different than the way it used to work in FIDO.
Okay. Let's see, there's Marty said we had submitted a typical deck detail application on November 2nd, 4 weeks ago, and called yesterday and was told it's still under review. So can you describe a little bit about that process? And is this just a product of the early switch, or is this kind of the standard expectation for the near term?
I think we probably need to research that specific record to see where it's at. If you'd like to email it to me, I'd be happy to look into that, and we can try to troubleshoot what's going on with that one and what's needed.
Okay. So Marty, if you would, I guess just email Kristen directly, that would be great. And then Mary Bloom has also has a question here. I'm waiting over an hour to ask a code question or to verify requirements on a project. Thoughts on a hotline for the Plus questions, and also for engineers and planners in the planners of the day could be more accessible. So is there any process to try and help speed that along for permit related questions?
So we do have our customer experience team is available. I talked about this a little bit earlier. We have staffed them up considerably for the Plus launch, and we're borrowing staff from around the agency. The majority of the questions that they get are related to kind of using Plus and the status of their records in Plus. So I think that's what you're referring to. So we do have kind of a team set up to do that. It is just that we have so many calls, and we're working through them as quickly as we can, but the volume does exceed kind of the capacity to be able to answer them immediately. So if I misunderstood the question, please let me know.
I hold my team who has been interacting with the Plus system, and Hellman, we actually had a similar resolution for issue you had. We had resubmitted for an application to be adjusted, and it wasn't reviewed and approved before the switch happened, but it was a pretty simple process of filling out a separate application, and it eventually did make it over. So I take that, even though it was more work, but it was pretty simple. One of the things that we've run into is being as a design build firm, we're the overall contractor. That we manage the inspection process for our trades, like plumbers, electricians, and we call and schedule them. And what we used to be able to do is we would schedule it and they would notify us. There's been, I don't know, I think 5 or 6 examples here in the last couple of weeks where we do that, but we don't get notified because there's a spot to say the second inspector or the second contact with a name and a phone number, but then the only reaction is to send an email out. So I don't know if that's just an in development change that needs to be made.
That's a good question. I guess Steve Kenrick is not on the call.
I think he is.
Okay, Steve, are you?
People connecting, but I think he might be on now. Steve, are you there?
Yes, sorry, having some issues with my phone, so.
All good.
Steve, I don't know, were you able to, I don't know if you heard Ted's question?
I heard about half of it.
So just in long and short, when we schedule an inspection, there is if we're scheduling inspection on behalf of our plumber, because we're leading the project, there used to be the ability to put our project manager's name and contact information to be the on-site point of contact. In doing that, it's just the pre-filled out form gives you the name and phone number of the person. But then I guess Fairfax County's standard process is to send an email out. Well, there is no email address, so it always goes to the trade. So that's been I think we've had 5 or 6 examples of we're trying to be notified. So I don't know if there's a tweak there you could do to get that, resolved.
I'm not as familiar with the inspection side. So if you can give me a couple of numbers in an email, I can
Sure.
talk to the lead for inspections and have them take a look.
Sure. Easy. Then the only other thing that came up was, and this might even be something that Steve Larson was maybe addressing, when we have scheduled an inspection here after Plus, and we've, the real life example had selected for a footing inspection or a plumbing groundwork inspection, excuse me. But there wasn't a clear indication as to which one we wanted. When the inspector came out, he was saying that basically he looked at it, inspected it, is going to approve it, but the selection they made for the selection type was incorrect. So his only course of action was to fail it, have us go back in, log back in, schedule a new inspection under the proper inspection type. Rather than in the past, they used to be able to go in and make some adjustments on the fly if they realized that something in the inspection request wasn't right. Everything was passed. We were able to continue, but we had to kind of go through that loop because I guess some tools were missing from them to be able to handle that on the fly. Is that something that, again, is a minor technical oversight that could be adjusted, or is that just better training for our team?
Again, that would be, if you can include that in the email, I can provide all this feedback to the inspection lead and put you in touch with him, and he'll be able to hopefully answer those questions.
Sure.
I do know that at some point in time, or we intended to launch using Acella's mobile app, which provides some more functionality, but we also found some issues with it, so we didn't end up launching with that. On October 31st, it's something that we're going to add in probably in spring or summer of next year. And some of those issues may go away when we switch over to that app. So that could be some of the issues that we're experiencing at the moment. But I'm going to take your information that you provide and pass it along to him and let him confirm that.
Great. And just so I can confirm, that's Steve that I'm talking to, because it's.
Yeah, it's me. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not DX for JC. I don't know what that is. So.
That's all right. Okay, well, I'll get that email out. Any other questions that have?
Ted, can I follow up on that
Please.
also? I think what you were asking for at first was those of us who do the design, build, and run everything, we handle the scheduling the child permits for all the trades. It would be nice if we got feed, we were put on the same emails to get both results and inspection times and all the other stuff, because right now we don't get that under the new
Correct.
system. The old system let us do that. And we had a very similar situation, Ted, like yours. Our field inspector said, he can't cancel an inspection, but he doesn't have to fail you. I could personally go in and cancel an inspection and then reschedule it. And then you don't have to be failed if that's, bad for your ego or something. I don't know.
Well, it's an extra step, right? Where they used to
It
be
is
able
an
to make
extra
it.
step.
Yeah.
And following up on the related question I typed out this afternoon also, the reschedule inspection button on Plus is not working. You have to actually cancel the inspection and reschedule. And I don't know if that's just a glitch. Steve, Jay, Kirsten, I don't know how that, and Hellman, I don't know how that all works, but that's something that's not working right now.
Jay, any thoughts on that, Jay?
That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up to us here at this meeting, at least. I will definitely follow up with the Plus team. I think that's a glitch. I mean, if that button is there, it should allow you to do it. Also, to follow up with the manipulating of the inspections, like when an inspector comes out into the field, I think, like Steve mentioned, this is all intended to be happening through an app, and that app gives the inspector a bit more control on what they can and can't do when they're out in the field. That app is not, we're not comfortable with it out right now, but we soon will be. And I think it's just a training issue with our inspectors that maybe they may not know how to manipulate it out in the field using the desktop version of it out in the field when they're with you and trying to manipulate the inspections to, avoid having to fail it and being able to change the type of inspection. I will, like Steve said, we'll reach out to our inspection branch chief. His name is Aaron Morgan. Maybe some of you have worked with him and had contact with him before, but definitely we'll check in with him to see if there's a way to do that. And we can certainly follow up with you on, and at the very least, get that training and make this known to the inspectors to be more cognizant of it until this app gets fully developed and released.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody else? Actually, Beth had a question here about, is there a place in Plus where we can see who our reviewer is? Just in case there's questions. There used to be the routine slip where we could see where that is or who it was and a phone number to answer those questions. Is that?
There is a place, and Steve and Curtin, please chime in. And I've fielded myself some calls from customers with that very question. And our communications officer, who's not in this call, Mary, she's gonna put an LTI with that information. When reviews take place, there's an automated email that comes from the system letting you, telling you about the comments. In that email does not have the contact information, but if you log into your into Plus and look for your permit, couple of clicks down, and you look at the processing of your permit, you will see the name, email, and phone number of the person that is doing the review. We'll send that information. So to answer the question, Ted, the information is there. It just does not go automatically with the comment.
So thank you for that. And
Yeah.
Beth sent a qualifying question to this. It's more about not once the review is actually started, but more when it's in place. Can you describe, I know you've done this in past, these past quarterly conversations, but what is the process for who gets the next application on the pile? Can you walk through that?
Kirsten or Steve?
Are you asking how we assign plans to reviewers?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And are you, and maybe you're asking about both of these things, but are you asking about kind of the initial intake pre-screen process, what we used to call pre-screen, or are you talking about the more detailed, engineering review of the plans?
I'll answer that. I think what I'm trying to do is help answer Beth's question. And I was remembering a former conversation about how when when you get 30 new permit applications that come in, as soon as a reviewer is ready to take on another project review, they reach in, figuratively, grab the next one in the pile, type it in and start. And then if they have to turn it down for whatever reason, they have comments, those comments go out, then it goes back to us, we complete it, and then it goes back into the pile. So the person who reviewed it the first time may not be the person who reviews it the second time. Is that process still in place? As to how you manage the flow of applications through the review process?
So if you're referring, well, so maybe we could start with the intake process and then maybe Jay could speak to the plan review process, but, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is with the intake process, yes, when you resubmit, it may go to a different technician to kind of do the initial login and then, send it on to plan review, which would be in building division.
Yeah, and then when it comes to building division, for this case, I'm going to speak to the residential plans that come in. So residential plans, we have two different type of records. One's an alteration or an addition, and the other one is a new single family development or new single family building that's being built. In both of those cases, the plans come in and sit in a general queue until it is assigned to a reviewer. It usually is assigned to the reviewer on the day or the very next day that they're going to review it. And they usually take about a day to review a single family dwelling. The fast track ones that are additions, those also sit in a central pot, and then they're basically picked up by the reviewers themselves when they're ready to review it. And those usually take about an hour to 2 hours per record to review. So if you're asking, will I know who my reviewer is? Probably not. I mean, it's not likely unless you're sitting there at the computer right at that moment when the reviewer actually picks up the plan and they begin to review it within that 2 hour period, and then they're done with the review. Of course, when they're done with the review, you'll see who actually made those comments, and then you'll be able to reach out to them and talk with them. But for the residential plans, it's not very likely that you'll get a chance to see who the reviewer is. It's usually picked up by the reviewer right when they're ready to begin reviewing it out of that central pot. So for the most of the time, you'll see it in that central building, review queue that before it's picked up by a residential plan reviewer.
And then once it's picked up by a residential plan reviewer and gone through it, assuming that there's comments that have to go back, does it automatically come back to that reviewer, or does it go back to more that general cache where the next free reviewer picks it up?
We like to send it back to the same reviewer. It's usually going to be back to that same reviewer. It doesn't go into that central pot. It'll be routed back to the same reviewer for the most part. Now, if that reviewer is out on vacation or something like that, or not in the office, then we'll of course take that plan and send it to a different reviewer to review. But for the most part, we do send it back to the original reviewer.
Outstanding. Thank you. Anybody else? So I'm trying to get caught up on the notes or chats.
It's I just want to say, we want to obviously run out of time, but if there are questions that you keep receiving, please send that to us. We'll be happy to answer any questions we can, via email. Our intent is to, be as helpful as we can. I would say that your experience right now of our existing timelines and response times are not indicative of what's coming in the future. We are in a bind right now, honestly, trying to get from under these data conversion errors that have taken place, which is in the thousands. But once we reach a point of normalcy, we'll it'll be back as business as usual, and I dare to say even better than pre-plus and hopefully pre-pandemic. It's been a bit of a long journey, and we really appreciate your partnership being with us. So any questions or concerns, all of that helps. This email from Steve was very helpful. So any more comments, issues that you see from your end, please don't be bashful. Send it our way, and we will respond.
Wonderful. Yes, David.
Ted,
Yeah.
can I ask a follow-up question? So if I'm a new customer coming in with a new set of plans, are the old problems affecting new work coming in, or is that finding its way through the system in a normal process?
That's a great question. I think we can all probably have a little bit of to chime in on this question. If you're a brand new project coming in, you're fine. I mean, you're not tied to the past. If it's a brand new application, you're free. The issue we're having is this: if you anything that was in review is potentially have issues. But if it's a brand new application, you're gonna enjoy the new system. And the only concern also is our capacity of staff, because it's this same staff that's trying to unclog this this issue we have with the conversion. But if we didn't have any conversion issues, David, will be in really good shape.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it sounds like because the staff is involved in the conversion issues, if I submit something, it is going to take, it might be a pleasant experience, but it's still going to be a longer process because you don't have the staff to do everything. Is that right?
That's about right. We're trying to minimize that, David, but I will, Kirsten, Jay, your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, I would refer you to the link that I think Hellman put in the chat that we're trying to keep updated pretty regularly with our turnaround times. And like we talked about earlier, the residential trades are in good shape. So if you're submitting a trade permit, you can expect that to be turned around very quickly. But others are experiencing a bit of a delay. So that's a really good resource though, to get an idea of what you can expect when you submit something new.
Would it be easier for somebody who's bogged down in the conversion to just start over and submit a new application? Is that a possibility?
That's happened in some cases. It's kind of the applicant's decision if they'd prefer. It kind of, I think it depends probably on how far you've gotten, at the time of the conversion with your review process. But we have seen some applicants decide to just start over with some of their applications.
And I would say, don't hesitate to reach out to, Kirsten, Jay, myself, Steve Kenrick. If it is something that if you're thinking about, maybe you want to resubmit something, please, reach out to us and we will work with you, study it and see what the best path is. But we're here for you. I will start with, Kirsten, Jay, and myself, and we'll be happy to follow that information to whoever can help the fastest and the best in the office.
Yeah, it'd be great. And Beth is also asking about email contact information. So what I'll do is I'll ask Angela after the call to send an email out to everybody here on this call with your contact information, team at Fairfax, and then so you all will have that.
Very good.
Wonderful. That sound good, Angela?
Sounds great.
Awesome. I volunteered you when you were in.
That is my job. If you, for some reason, did not register for the event, though, I won't have your email. So if you want to put it in the chat, I can capture it from there. And I'm putting mine in there now.
Great. Well, I know there's issues. I want to just take a minute and congratulate the team on tackling an unbelievably major event of switching all of this. I cannot truly imagine what the sheer magnitude of issues that come up. It's not seamless for sure. But I think it's, it's been great to have, open ears here to listen to what we're experiencing and also help us better understand. So thank you all for that. We're very, very appreciative.
Very welcome, Ted. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have this meeting and this conversation, and we look forward to our continued collaboration. Promi Atlantic is a true partner with with industry, and and appreciate everything that you do for your members and the communication with our staff and the county. And we will have another meeting, I'm sure, in the coming weeks or months, and we'll update and we'll continue plowing along.
Wonderful. Any last comments or questions by anybody? All right, well, wonderful. Thank you again. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, and let's go to work.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
My email is in the chat, so if anybody needs anything, let me know, and we'll be following up with a recording and contact information for you within 24 hours, okay?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.